So if you've ever wanted to ceramic coat your own car and not known what you're going to need, where to start and how to actually do it, then in this video I'm going to show you in an easy to follow step-by-step guide how to ceramic coat your car. Now, like most things in life, ceramic coatings require proper preparation. So you do need to go through a bit of a series to get to actually applying the ceramic coating to properly prepare the paint to be ceramic coated. And now also I'll just point out, when I'm talking about ceramic coating a car, I'm not talking about one of these types of products where they say a ceramic spray coating. These aren't true ceramic coatings, these are spray sealants with some SiO2. So don't go with one of those and think, yes, I'm ceramic coating my car today. That is just a spray sealant. You'll get a couple of months out of those. What we want is something that you go to all this effort for to apply using all these types of products. It's coming in a small glass bottle like this, and it's going to last you years, not months. So with that said, what I want to firstly point out is you break it down into some steps. So the first step is going to be washing, which we're going to show every step in a small little section on the bonnet. So you'll wash, I'm going to pre-foam wash, then contact wash. That's our washing method done. Then we'll move on to decontamination. So we need to remove any tar. So we're going to be using a tar remover and a microfiber cloth to wipe off those visible tar spots. These top products will help break that down. Next up, we want to remove any iron decontamination. So we can use an iron spray and then go ahead and clay the car. But to make it easy, I generally use this NV Purify, which is a 2-in-1. This will remove the iron, and then you use this as a clay lubricant. But you can do it whichever way you like. So then we'd have our clay. You've got the traditional clay bar, or a lot of modern products coming out with clay cloths, towels, mitts, pads, sponges, all sorts of things. I'm going to be trying out this wax-it clay cloth today, but it's all the same thing. You need to lubricate and wipe off. That's going to pick up the last bit of contamination on the paint. Now, one thing I did forget to mention there was please wear gloves when using any of these harsh chemicals. Just look after your hands and your skin a little bit. Sometimes I forget and I end up with like flaking skin on my fingers. It's avoidable, just use some gloves. So next up would be the polishing. After you're doing all that, you're going to bring the car in and you're going to wipe it down, dry it. So next up would be polishing the paint. Now, if you don't have a machine polisher, there is some really cheap options you can pick up. Even this one, it's around $300 with some pads and some compounds. Absolute great price. But if you're just wanting to do your car once, maybe you don't want to spend that money, and maybe you're not quite ready to use a machine polisher. You like wiping the paint down, you know how to do all this, or you think using these decontamination products is easy enough. Using ceramic coating is easy enough. It is a wipe on, wipe off type product, but you don't want to get into polishing, then at least I would recommend using something like a paint cleaner. So here we've got the Bowden's Paint Cleanse and Restore. I haven't personally tested using just this before a ceramic coating. I know it will work. Will it give a full 2 years plus worth of life out of ceramic coating? I don't know for sure. I think it will, but because we're selling this car, and this is the reason why I'm ceramic coating it, I want it to look its best. So I am just going to go over it with a machine polisher, and I'm just going to do a one step. So I'm going to use just a compound you go over once with one pad, and it's going to enhance gloss, remove some swirls and defects, make the paint look a lot better, and also clean it ready for our ceramic coating. So we'll get into more of that when we get to that part of the video. And then right before your ceramic coating, you need to spray it down with an polish oil remover, or basically an IPA alcohol type spray. So there's many different ones you can use, even available from retailers. We've got this one, Bowden's Own Flash Prep, which I've been really liking, but I'm basically all out of that. So going back to my Car Pro Racer, after compounding and wiping off that compound, going back over it with 2 microfibers and a product like this to get any of that residue off, because then you want that paint nice, clean and bare to apply the ceramic coating. So I've got a couple of different ceramic coatings here. I'm going to be using the Black Ops Fortress today, but I've used the Car Pro Sea Quartz a lot previously. This is an empty old bottle. There's many different brands. There's the very popular on the internet Armor Shield 9 from Avalon King. So we'll do a video on that one in the future, but for today, there's many, like I said, but this is one we're using. And the last thing you're going to need, other than the general things like a wash mitt and some buckets and a pressure washer if you're using a snow foam, but you're going to want a bulk amount of microfiber towels. So you can pick up bags like this for pretty cheap, so we don't have to worry about running out. But that is everything you're going to need. So with that said, There's going to be links in the description for every product that I'm showing here today. If you're in another country other than Australia like I am, then you can find equivalents, and it's pretty easy to track down all these things if you go to a detailing website. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to show you each step on the bonnet and not make this video too long. I know this intro's been going for a long time, but I did want to show the process, what you'll need. So yeah, with that said, let's get right into it and go out to the car, starting off with our wash process. Okay, so first step is going to be our pre-wash snow foam. So the car has got a little bit wet because I just cleaned the engine bay and the wheels, but other than that, it is how we started. So let's go ahead and foam this down. Okay, so a few minutes later, letting the product dwell, let's go ahead and rinse that down, and we'll see just how much that removed just from the pre-wash stage. Okay, so snow foam pre-rinse done. Now it's time for our contact wash. So we have our two buckets set up, a wash and a rinse. We have our wash mitt in our wash bucket. So obviously, just going to wash the car. Now this car being very dirty, I may have to do 2 passes. As you can see, we've got some dried up bug guts and bird droppings and stuff. So we just want to get the car nice and clean. But just this step is going to do most of the work. The pre-rinse just made it a little bit easier for us. So yeah, this car, like I said, got pretty neglected. So normally it would just be a quick, easy wipe over for the car, but since we let it sit for so long outside, and yeah, in the rain, got driven a few times, left under some trees, all that sort of stuff. So the car got quite dirty. But so yeah, basically just a normal contact wash as you'd normally do. So these steps, there's no need to go into too much detail. Obviously everyone knows how to wash. But yeah, after a panel, we would go into our rinse bucket, rub it against our grit guard, bring it out, back into the wash bucket, and so on. Okay, so with the car completely washed, now it's time to get the tar deposits off. So you can see, hopefully, I'm not sure if they're going to show up on camera, but yeah, right there, we've got this black spots. So there's quite a few of them, easier to see on a white car. So I'm going to get this door So we're going to spray those with the tar remover. Get a microfiber cloth. Generally we want to wait a minute or so for those to work and spray a little bit onto the microfiber. Sorry, I have to do that off camera, a bit hard to show that. So yeah, spread a little bit on there. And then that will wipe off. So I can get the right. Sections. So, okay, there you can see this one breaking down. And then it's gone. So the tire removal will take a second to start to break them down. But on a car like this that's been driven through a fair bit of roadworks multiple times, it's got quite a few tar deposits. So yeah, we're going to spray them, let it dwell, spray our microfiber, and then wipe them off. So it can be a time consuming part of the process. It's generally going to be along the lower parts of the car and at the back. Not really going to get many tar spots higher up on the car. It's just mainly going to be what the wheels flick up. So yeah, that's going to be the next step. And it's not a whole lot to show. It's just something that you have to do if you want the best results. All right, now it is time to remove the iron contamination. So like I showed earlier, we have NV purifier, we have our clay cloth. So we'll take these over to the car. But before we spray on, unfortunately the sun's sort of popping in and out, but I'm not sure if you can hear that. Basically the paint sounds like sandpaper. It is not nice and smooth, so there's definitely some contamination, which these two steps will help remove. So what we're going to do is panel by panel spray this on and see if we get a reaction. So I can definitely see a few little spots. So I'll give them a minute. Yeah, the sun's not helping the cause. We do not want this to dry, but hopefully you can see that. Yeah, lots of little pink dots coming out. So decent amount of iron right there, you can probably see that. So we want to wait for that to work in, but just because we're in the sun, I'm going to quickly show you. So very gently, just going to wipe in. So we're using this, yeah, look at the iron reaction now. A lot going on this bonnet. So this is going to loosen, pick that up. So basically as we go over it, just lightly, not any real pressure needed. And you want to just keep going over. Flip over. Just basically want to keep doing that until we are nice and smooth. So yeah, you can see this iron reaction over here. It's need to be quicker because I'm in the sun, but I may actually move this into the garage to do this step, but sort of show you the bonnet section. Okay, so we've worked the product in, we've seen a lot of the iron contamination come through. So now it's got the pressure washer turned off just to make it not too noisy. It's going to rinse that off. So yeah, probably should just use the hose, not the pressure washer turned off. But in the sections where I went over it a couple of times, it's actually nice and smooth now. So another quick pass over with the clay and this bonnet will be good. So basically do that for the entire car. Then we're going to thoroughly rinse it, probably actually give it a wash. So we've kept our wash buckets ready to go. So I'll give it another quick wash to get all this off, and then yeah, we'll bring it inside and it's time to start polishing. All right, so as you can see, car is back into the garage. We did a wash, we did a decontamination, and we've dried it. So now I want to move on to polishing. Now, I know that I did say at the start you could get away with just using something like this, a paint cleaner by a microfiber pad by hand. Go over the whole car and it will not remove swirls, but it will give a little bit more clarity and clean the paint the rest of the way, ready for the coating. I'm going to use the machine just because I have it here, but I will try and do a video in the future where I test out that theory of doing half the bonnet by machine, half by hand, and then coating it and seeing how long the coating lasts. Is there going to be a difference in the life of the coating? But for this car, I just want to go ahead and machine polish it. The other point I wanted to stress is that while most people will consider a paint correction or removing all swirls, making the paint absolutely perfect before coating being absolutely necessary, I no longer do. I used to spend hours upon hours, multiple stages and passes, getting the paint absolutely perfect, going over with the light, yep, all swirls gone, now I can coat it. And then, to be honest, 99% of the people out there, they're not going to look after that. They're going to swirl that paint back up straight away. So if you just make it shiny, make it glossy, and remove the haze, making the color really pop, like this pearl white, I think is really going to pop once we're finished, then that's all you really need to do, unless you want your car perfect. So I used to spend the hours getting my own cars perfect, and now the last couple of years I've decided I'm not really too fussed about that. People that I do their cars for them, they bring them back covered in swirls again, so they're not washing them properly. And even sometimes you might get a bit lazy on your own car and chuck a few swirls into it while you're doing a wash, not being as particular as you should be, and then realizing, hey, what's the point? I'm going to redo it in another year or two. It doesn't matter. So that's where I now stand with it. I'm not doing a full paint correction. I'm just doing a paint enhancement. I'm just going over it with the machine, making the paint look better, and then applying the coating. So with that said, here's what we're using. We're going to test out two of the different combos on the two little tape sections that I've made. So we've got a yellow pad, a little bit softer blue pad. I'm going to try and with both of those pads with just this S20 one-step compound and see if that's going to be enough to all we need to do. That's what I'm aiming for. Okay, so let's go ahead and apply. Okay, that didn't really come out at all, and way too much came out, but that's fine. So I'll take this over to the car. I've got far too much on there for that section, but it is what it is. So I'm just going to put the GoPro on my head, quickly go over this with the polisher, and then wipe it back and see how it looks. All right, so let's see how we go. Okay, now we'll try this other combo with the blue pad. All right, we did our two test sections. Going to spray some CarPro eraser. A fresh microfiber. I'm just going to wipe that off. Okay, so straight away, that looks a lot nicer than what it did before. I can see difference between those two sections there. Probably not coming through on camera,
but that's what we wanted to achieve, was just a nice glossy, pops really well. Let's try this less aggressive section here, wipe that down. Sorry, really bad job with this microfiber. I grabbed it out and didn't fold it. Impossible for me to do with one hand, but. All right, so we've peeled the tape back, and do I see a difference between the yellow pad section and the blue pad section? I can definitely see the tape line where it was, but both came out really well. So I'm just going to go ahead and use the blue pad with that compound, and that's looking perfect. That's all I want to get. So it's not really going to come through on camera, but there is a clear difference. It looks incredibly glossy. That pearl is really popping. There's a lot of metallic flakes in this paint, and you can really see them all coming through now. So yeah, I'm incredibly happy with that result. So now we just need to go over basically the entire car and do that. So that's all I need to show you for the camera, but this little section here is done. So we'll go over the rest of it. We'll do it in, what I like to do is probably, this is a pretty small bonnet, but still probably do this in, maybe I could do it about half, but usually about 4. So I'll divide the bonnet into about 4 sections. I'll do the roof in about, I don't know, 8 maybe 4, get away with still up there. But I'll just do little sections, wipe it off and keep moving along until I've got the whole car done. So it'll take me a couple of hours. Okay, so I've just finished the polishing stage, and if I try and get my shadow out of the way, paint is looking amazing. Best this paint has ever looked. Super glossy. If we get a light, I mean, the amount of pearl that's coming through, it's looking really good. So finished the polishing, like I said. After that, I've gone over the entire car with CarPro Eraser. So made sure I've gotten rid of every little bit of polish residue. It is pretty easy to miss some while you're polishing and wiping that off. So after finishing, best thing to do is go back around the entire car with 2 microfiber cloths. One originally, work it in, go back over with the second one, make sure there's no residue left, and this will flash dry. So now we are actually ready to do the ceramic coating, which was most of the point for this video. So this is what I'm using today. So we have Black Ops Fortress ceramic coating. It's one I've been using a little bit lately. This is their new packaging. I'm actually going to use an older bottle because I've got just around half, a bit over half left, which will be enough to do this car. Because I'm just going to do 1 layer, I believe. We'll see how we go. I might do 2, but it's definitely enough in here. So, but what I thought I'd do is open the package up, show you guys what would typically come. Now, most ceramic coatings are going to be the same. They're going to come with all this. So you're going to get a decent amount of the suede applicator cloths. The coating itself, so you can see this is the newer bottle, the new labeling. So the coating itself in a small little glass bottle. Some will come with a silica spray to put on after you've coated, especially if the car's going to see a bit of rain. This will protect the coating while it cures. Some instructions, and of course the applicator block that you put the suede cloths around. So I've already got mine set up here. What I like to do is also I cut, if you can see that, I cut into it. So rather than just holding the cloth around, I actually tuck it in, make it nice and flush. So yeah, you've got a soft side and a harder side. Obviously that's the side we want, cloth side down. Add a few drops in, work it in, and wipe it off. So I'm going to show you that process now. So I'll show you what will typically come in a ceramic coating kit. So yeah, put the GoPro on my head and we'll do the bonnet, and I'll show you guys. It's a pretty easy process. Anyone can really do this. You may make a mistake on your first car or so. It's all about being careful, thorough, and taking your time. But so yeah, let's get the GoPro on my head, show you guys the process, how easy it is, and let's get right to it. Okay, so we have the block set up, get our bottle, definitely give it a very thorough shake, which I've already done, but just for example. And also, if it's a bottle you're reusing, it's going to have glass shards all around, so I've already wiped all of those off mostly, but get rid of those. We don't want to get those onto here and then be scratching the paint. So then what we're going to do is, it's a lot, I'm going to get a nice line down, so a couple of drops. I put a little bit too much here. I'm going to come over to the car, and we want to do, let's say, half of this bonnet to start. So we'll just get a couple of dabs down, and I'm not sure you can see that, but it's definitely a good amount of liquid there. And then we are going to do straight lines to start. It's going to go one way and then the other way. We just want to make sure we don't miss anything, hence the crosshatch type pattern that we'll do. On a darker car, it is far easier to see where you've been, where you haven't. On this white car, it's a little bit harder to see. So I'll do this little part of the bumper as well. So after going one way, so now we're going to go horizontal. Now this is going to ensure that we don't miss a spot. This is also the reason why a lot of products suggest 2 coats, just in case in this process you did miss a section. Now I can actually see a section that I missed that I'm now covering by going the other way. Because now as it's starting to go into a rainbowy type effect, it's a little bit easier for me to see in certain lights. So once you think you've thoroughly been everywhere, I'm just going to go up this line that I missed originally. It was about there. So once you think you've got it everywhere, you're basically waiting for a rainbow effect. They're always going to have different instructions for how long you should take. So I can already see this has a nice rainbow effect going on. Now I'm going to wipe it off. I know the instructions on this one actually say to wait a little bit. Put that there. But I've found generally when we get that nice, it's like an oil slick look when you get oil in water, that's when it's time to start wiping off. And it'll come off nice and easy. So that, no effort at all. If you get the timing right, with 0 effort basically, it's going to wipe off like a wax. So this one I found is very easy to wipe off if you get that timing right. So what you want to do here though is be extremely thorough. So you miss a spot with a wax or a sealant, no big deal, it'll wipe back off. With the ceramic coating, once it's fully cured, it's going to leave what's called a high spot, and they're very noticeable in certain lights. And I've left them the first time I coated my car, and basically you're going to have to re-polish that section and reapply the coating, because it's going to look pretty terrible. And yeah, you just don't want to do that. So to avoid that, just be very thorough and meticulous in your wipe down. So you think you've gone everywhere, and you know, the first few panels you might be right. By the end you might start rushing, or you take a phone call or something happens, you lose your focus and you end up missing a spot. Also, you want to use 2 microfibers. So the first one for initial wipe downs, this is going to be my first one. What I did though is I folded this over and I got the whole thing, but just for the rest of the car we're going to need a second. So I'm going to grab that second and place this down here. So grab our second microfiber, and this is going to pick up any excess. And so yeah, what I was also saying is if you get the wrong time, like if you wait too long or too soon to wipe it off, it's going to be extremely tacky and hard to wipe down. If you get it right, which I'm used to this coating now, I've used it quite a few times now, and yeah, It does say like up to a few minutes depending on temperature. I've got the garage here with the aircon going, and I've got it set pretty cold because it was quite a hot day outside, so I wanted to cool down. So this flashed quite quick as you saw, but still probably about 24 degrees in here. So, but yeah, I'd say more do a little test section your first time, and then you'll see the coating start to flash. But yeah, there we go. That's half the bonnet done. So the more you do it, the more you get used to it. The first few panels, you may kind of have a bit of trouble, but once you get going and you work out what to do, it's really quite easy. As you can see, that was very easy to do, just like applying a wax or a sealant. So yeah, that's half the bonnet done already. That's one coat. Now I'll do the other half of the bonnet and keep moving along. But just to make this video, which I know is already before even looking at how long all these clips are, it's gonna be far too long. So I'm gonna stop here, do the rest of the car, and I'll show you guys the end result, just how good this paint is looking in the sun. So I'll leave this car garaged overnight once I finish, pick this back up another day when I reverse it out and we can have a good look at it. And yeah, one other thing before I end that there and stop filming for the day, if you can, reverse the car out into the sun after you've coated it or into some natural lighting, and it's going to be easier to see those high spots, and just go back over it. You'll likely find a few and they'll wipe off while they're still a little bit wet. If not, you can also get the coating applicator and just put a little bit more and then wipe that off, and it should take that with it, that high spot. So yeah, I'll pick this back up tomorrow once I've coated the entire car and we can have a good look at how it looks.
All right, so it's a couple of days later after we did the entire ceramic coating and detail on this little Barina here. The car has actually sat outside for a day and a half now, and it's not as clean as what it was when we originally finished. So a little bit of a dust has settled, but you can see just how good this paint now looks. I mean, hopefully it comes through on camera, the metallic flakes and the pearl, it's just absolutely been transformed. Even up the side of the car here, it is pretty much looking like a mirror now. Super glossy, and a lot of that is thanks to the polishing, but also this ceramic coating that I used. I found that this one is incredibly glossy. It really does make a great shine when it has applied and after it's cured as well. So yeah, now you're probably wondering, how long did it take me overall to do this entire job? Now the coating itself, that only took me about an hour because I just did one single layer. And I'm pretty quick at it now after doing it a bunch of times, but around an hour for a car this size. Obviously something larger like a SUV over here, yeah, I'd say an hour and a half, maybe longer. But yeah, it's not the most time consuming part of the process. It's also not the most expensive part of the process. This coating that we use, for example, is $90. So you're thinking, if it takes an hour and only $90 to $100 to apply the coating, why is it costing me $1,000 quotes that I'm getting to ceramic coat my car? The reason for that now, hopefully you understand, is all the prep that goes in and the materials that you're using for that prep. There's a lot of work that before you get to the ceramic coating to make sure it actually properly bonds to the paint and gets the proper life that it should. So yeah, hopefully this video did help to show that process, whether it's you're watching it so you can find out why it's so expensive to get it done, or you're watching it to find out how to do it yourself. Hopefully either side of that coin, this video has been helpful. If you did enjoy it, make sure you give it a thumbs up down below. And if you are interested in trying to do this yourself, I will have every product that I used in this video linked in the description. And if you don't get access to some of those products, certain brands that I have here in Australia, then you can easily find equivalents. If you just search Google, you will find something. And you'll be able to do all of this yourself. I'd say give yourself 2 days to be safe. The other thing is, after you finish, the car needs to be garaged overnight, preferably. If it's a clear day and it's not going to rain that night, maybe you'll get away with it. But preferably leave the car garaged after you've coated it for that first 12 hours to let it cure. You don't want to get it wet. But after that, the car is good to be driven. You can pull it out in the sun and see how it looks. And if it's anything like this one, it'll come up looking absolutely amazing. So yeah, I'm going to end the video there. Like I said, give it a thumbs up down below if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought of the video, if you are now considering ceramic coating your own car. And if you do actually go ahead and do it after watching this, come back, let me know in the comments how you went, whether you enjoyed the process like I do. But yeah, with all that said, that's going to be the end there. So until next time, I will catch you guys later.